We're giving you a live look right now. Teachers from all across the state are in Raleigh. This is the scene as the crowd continues to grow. Thousands took the day off to head to the state capitol for what is known as May Day. Well, buses loaded up early this morning with Triad teachers headed for Raleigh this morning. We wanted to show you what it looked like at Dudley High School in Greensboro. A couple dozen teachers hopping on board, signs in hand, ready to speak out and make their voices heard. You know, the last time this type of teacher rally happened in Raleigh was back in 2019. This is what it looked like some 7 years ago. The large crowd all dressed in red. The theme, Red for Ed. Thousands turned out with a shared message, pushing for better pay, funding for teachers. History now repeating itself. This is teachers are trying to send a message to lawmakers today. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us with this WFMY Plus special. I'm Tanya Rivera. Several school districts in our area canceled classes, allowing teachers to take the day to be at the rally. And that includes our local districts, Guilford, Winston-Salem, Forsyth, Alamance, Burlington, Thomasville City Schools. Asheboro City Schools is operating remotely today. Rockingham County already had this day off. Right now we have live team coverage stretching from here in the studio all the way to Raleigh. WFMY News 2's Ben Briscoe, Kevin Kennedy, and Manning Franks are all there covering the rally as it is unfolding. So let's start right there in the state capitol with WFMY News 2's Ben Briscoe.
The speakers on the stage just started a few minutes ago. This is the third time I've covered one of these rallies in the past 10 years or so that I've been here. And I will tell you that the crowd is just as enthusiastic this time. It is growing by the moment. There are still teachers coming in, including this group right over here from Alamance County. Marie actually took the train here this morning. Why'd you want to come out?
So it's really important that we get this funding for our students. In our district alone, we're missing 50 critical exceptional children's positions. This includes OTs, speech language pathologists, teachers, psychologists, interventionists, and these kids from our gen ed friends need some of these services that they're just not provided in our district because the funding simply isn't there. So we're here today to really get that funding for those kiddos because they deserve it. They deserve a well-funded public education.
How have you seen kids suffer because of those positions not being there?
So in our classroom alone, we share a speech language pathologist across our whole school. Around 50 to 60 kids. That's an insane amount of kids to try and speech language, critical communication. Kids who have critical communication needs those services. She is stretched so thin and it's impacted our kids. We only get to see her once a week. We should be seeing her way more than that. But because of where she is stretched, she's not just at our school, she's at several other schools. And we just need more people in the door. We need to get that funding so we can get these kids these services. They're suffering without them. Could you imagine not being able to communicate and not knowing how and just not having the service provided to you? That is a crazy thing. We have to be doing more for these kids. They're literally our future. We're not going to make it as a country if we aren't teaching these kids the right things right now.
What is the message that you hope the people back in that building, that's the General Assembly building back there, what do you want them to take away from this out here?
That we're here and we're not giving up. We're going to get this funding. We're going to get it no matter if we have to march every single day. We want this for our students. We want this for our schools. We are here and we're ready to fight for it.
Speaking of funding, one of the things that you guys are asking for is a 25% raise for all educators across the board in the state. Why is that needed?
Because a lot of our teachers are working 2 jobs right now. Some of our teachers are going home and doing Instacart or Uber. We're not able to provide for our regular day lives in this profession, and this profession takes a lot of time. We're not just working during the school day. We're going home, we're writing IEPs, we're checking in on kiddos, we're answering emails from parents, we're preparing for the next day. We don't have time to have 2 jobs. We need to be paid fairly for the one job that we are doing, which is educating these kids.
And when you do have 2 jobs, how does that take away from your ability to perform in the classroom?
We're tired. I mean, all of the time. Can you imagine working an 8-hour day and then pulling another 6 hours at night? When do you have time to relax or just be a person, a human being? I mean, I want to be the best that I can be for my kids, and that includes getting adequate rest, and we're just not getting that.
Well, thank you for taking care of our kids.
Thank you so much.
So that's Marie's story from Alamance County. I want you to take a look around here. There are hundreds of educators from all across the state out here. That was Alamance County. We've also talked with the folks from Guilford, from Forsyth, from the mountains, from the beach. Tanya, there's a lot more stories like that, and we're going to be talking with them throughout this special.
Throughout this day, speakers will be taking the stage right now. A Guilford County counselor is speaking, so let's listen in.
State University. All right, there's some Aggies in the house. morning, when I open the doors of Hodgen Hall, I'm excited to greet my students, some of the most amazing students in this state, I would say, in this country. They walk in with hopes and dreams, knowing that they can achieve everything that they set their minds to. It's amazing to see, y'all. It's an all-boys high school and we don't play any games. But y'all, we tell them to dream big. And dream big they do. But our state does not invest in their dreams. They don't invest. Y'all know what that feels like. And so, we're in this system where we're asking them to think, to dream, to do, to achieve. And where's the money? Where is it? Who has it? Exactly. The corporations, the General Assembly being backed by those corporations. But where we are today, y'all, that gap between the system that tells them to dream big but fails to fund their hopes and dreams, well, y'all, that gap is so wide now we can't hide it anymore. We know that our students deserve more. And we know the gap between what they deserve and what they actually receive is showing up in ways that we can't ignore. I see it in my students, you probably see it in yours too, when they're navigating anxiety and trauma without enough mental health supports in their schools. I see it in classrooms that have been without consistent teachers, where learning is disrupted and relationships are broken because the teacher had to make a choice, right? They had to make the choice to leave and go elsewhere so that they could make a livable wage. And as I reflect, I think to myself, what did it cost a student to go weeks or even months without a permanent teacher? What did it cost a child to sit in a classroom carrying burdens without access to mental health support? These are not just inconveniences. These are barriers. And over time, those barriers become setbacks that impact achievement, opportunity, and long-term outcomes. But let me be clear, this is not just a Guilford County issue. What we are experiencing here is a reflection of what is happening in underfunded classrooms across North Carolina. This is a statewide crisis. I'll say it again so that our elected officials can hear me. This is a statewide crisis. And when we talk about underfunding, we are not just talking about numbers on a spreadsheet. We are talking about real students, real classrooms, and real futures. I am marching today because I believe in a brighter, well-funded future for students in North Carolina's public schools. Because our students are not asking for too much, they are asking for what they are owed. And until that promise is fulfilled, we will keep showing up, speaking out, and fighting for Guilford County, for North Carolina, and for every child who is counting on us to get this right. Thank you.
All right, so that was our Guilford County counselor speaking, Shayna Richards. Let's go now to WFMY News 2's Manning Franks, who rode with teachers on a bus this morning to Raleigh.
Folks are going to continue to show up for it until we get it, right? So there's another.
Well, good morning, everybody. I was actually on the bus for the Forsyth County Educators this morning. I got there at 7 a.m. and I got on there and I was able to ride with them to Raleigh. And one of the educators that I have here with me, Abby Brooks Wintry, thank you for speaking with us here today. Tell me a little bit more. You've just been hearing, we just started the rally itself. We have the march later. Why was it important for you to come out here? You've been 6 years as a teacher. Why is it important for you to come out here to be at this rally?
So I'm out here for my students. I'm out here for all the students across North Carolina. You know, I am here here to stand up, to fight for them. We are underfunded. It is a choice, and I'm here to make a statement to our government, our state government.
And obviously, you weren't here for the first one back in 2019. You just got on the, you got in there just in time.
Yes.
I'd love to hear your perspective, obviously. As this your first time here, what has it been like so far, and what was it like to see this many educators out here today in Raleigh?
Right. So this is a monumental moment in North Carolina. We're making history out here. There are thousands of educators, staff, child nutrition workers, custodians here today advocating and standing up for what's right, for the funding for our children.
I was there on the bus today, bus B today, and there was this big camaraderie with the educators there. What was that like to not only load up, but drive and ultimately get here to see all your fellow teachers together?
You know, I've been so excited I couldn't sleep last night because we are making history. I love being a part of that. I love seeing all the educators from Winston-Salem, Forsyth County Schools on that bus, and we're here together. We're fighting together.
And last question that I have for you is, what do you hope today showcases for the lawmakers here in Raleigh, seeing all these different educators here?
I'm glad you asked that. So I'm hoping that they see that we mean business. We are not going to stop, and the fight is just beginning. We are not going to stop until our state is funded, our kids are taken care of, and things get so much better.
Awesome. Abby, thank you so much for being here with us today and for being out here. So we'll be out here all day until we're going with the march, going until that they head back on the bus. So stay with us here today on the special at 11 o'clock. We will be giving you the latest updates here in Raleigh. Live in Raleigh, Manning Franks, WFMY News 2.
Thanks so much, Manning. And of course, we have our own Kevin Kennedy, who is also on another side of the rally. This is really sprawling with so many thousands of people there.
Yeah, and it continues to grow, Tanya. We're actually towards the back of Halifax Hall. The speakers are up on the stage, and this crowd just continues to kind of push back towards us. It's a tough estimate, but I'm going to guess there's at least 5,000 to 8,000 people that are here right now, mainly teachers, their family members, support staff, and then we've also seen a lot of parents and kids out here, basically all supporting public education. I'm going to walk over here right now. This is Morgan Bellinger. Morgan Bellinger, she's been a teacher for 3 years in North Carolina. Why was it important that you show up out here today, Morgan?
It was important that I show up out here today because I'm showing up for my students. This is for my students, more so than me, and for my peers and my colleagues as well.
What are we asking for? What do we hope legislators hear today when we talk about the people that are out here right now?
Well, we need to pass a budget, and we need to put teachers and students first. We're one of the worst for teacher pay and worst for teacher support in the whole nation. So
when it comes to a lot of teachers, I've talked with a number of teachers today, they often will have to work a second job. Do you know that? Are you working a second job? Do you know teachers that are working a second job?
yes, I currently tutor on the side, but I know teachers that have worked at places like Bath and Body Works or just other retail stores where we can have the smaller hours. But yeah, it's a problem.
In regards to numbers, right now, average teacher salary in North Carolina is around $60,000. You've only been a teacher for 3 years.
Yeah, so it's much smaller.
Much smaller, and that's part of the issue. What would we like to see in terms of an increase? Would we like to see 5%, 6%, 10%? I've heard numbers up as high as 20% when I've spoken with other folks today.
Yeah, I would, as much as they can give us, but also still supporting our kids, if that makes sense. So, I mean, if we can get the 20% and still also put funding in for our students, absolutely do that.
When we talk about extra funding, what would it mean not only for you, but you talk about the kids, what would it mean for those kids in the classroom, and how would it impact their education?
So specifically, we have low funding for our special ed department, so we have more support for our special ed students, but also our assistant principals. We're getting assistant principals cut left and right, which are overall less teachers to support students in their everyday life at school.
And I know your sign that you've got right here talks about cutting tax dollars as it relates to corporate incentives. How important is that to you, and what would you like to see happen?
So yeah, we absolutely just need to stop privatizing education and stop putting money towards these corporations. They need to go back into public schools and public funding.
Morgan, thank you so much for talking with us.
Of course.
The theme out here today obviously is a lot of what Morgan was just talking about, which is kids over corporations. I want to see a lot of those dollars that are now being given or tactics that are being given to corporations to go back into the classroom, back into the students, back to the students, and then also teachers in regards to the salaries. We're going to be out here all day, all afternoon. Package is supposed to start, this whole rally is supposed to start at about noon. They're going to be marching. The rally will end about 3 o'clock this afternoon. We will be out here the whole time. Tanya, back to you.
Thanks so much, Kevin. Kind of gotten a round robin with different teachers and counselors and people who are educators in our schools. We talked to lawmakers about the rally earlier this week, and Republicans questioned the time of the rally since there is no voting session for the legislature today, meaning that most lawmakers aren't even at the Capitol.
I think everybody anticipates the budget won't be voted out before the middle of June. They could easily do that. They could also come during the week. They could come on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. But instead, they've chosen a day that wraps into a 3-day weekend. So given all the circumstances, plus, parents have to find childcare.
So I applaud the teachers for organizing, putting this together, and hopefully they'll have a good crowd and have a good turnout. Unfortunately, on Friday, we're not here on Friday. So I wished it was a better day. There will be some staff members here, and there may be a few people here from the speaker's office that they might be able to, and they can leave things in our office because our staff members will be here.
Lawmakers may not be there, but educators certainly are there in Raleigh today and in mass. What we're going to do is we're going to send you back to the speakers on stage. Right now, parents are making their voices heard. Let's listen in.
This is ridiculous. Please, teachers are leaving the classroom. There's a reason for that. Please wake up and understand that these people have a passion to sit with children that are not their own 6 hours, teach them things, science and math and communication and social. You cannot afford not to invest in the future of our children. You cannot, you cannot, you cannot. And I say that with all my heart because I know what it's like. If you want to teach, you might get in 2 hours of teaching if you're lucky because you're so busy doing so many other things. There are too many children in the classroom and there's not enough help, and it's outrageous. Parents, you need to step up, act up, demand more. You need to be involved in the schools in your community and the schools that your children go to. I don't care if it's 1 hour a month. You must participate. Our children demand more. We as parents demand more. We as taxpayers should demand more. Whose money are they spending? I thank you. I thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so we're kind of dipping in and out of the rally there in Raleigh. Parents are going to continue to talk for a little while. Students are going to talk for a little while as well. Right now, we want to bring it right back here at home because teachers left the Triad this morning to head to that rally. And WFMY News 2's Amber Lake talked to them about what it means to make this trip and their end goal.
Gosh, what a morning it was, Tanya. So many teachers loaded up onto the bus at Dudley High School to make the trip to Raleigh, to be a part of this rally today that we've been seeing those videos of, all with the exact same message: raise teacher pay more towards school funding across the state. We talked to a dozen teachers as they got onto the bus this morning, excited to stand in solidarity with other educators all across the state.
My message, that's one of them. Teachers just want to have funds and fair pay for teachers. Teachers will stay.
The teachers who don't want to say anything or don't have the courage to say anything, that's what we're here for.
So we must let them know today, hear us. We voted for you. We're here to stand together as one.
Guilford County teachers showed up to Dudley with posters, snacks, all fighting towards the same goal. The Sternberger PTA president even brought coffee and donuts and sunscreen for the teachers getting on the bus. North Carolina is ranked 46th for teacher pay and 50th for school funding. Those statistics alone were enough to convince lots of educators today to head to Raleigh to have those voices heard. With teacher pay lower than ever and teachers reaching into their own pockets to provide basic resources to students, many feel that their voices should be heard today by legislators. I was able to talk to an NCAE member and Guilford County teacher who was already in Raleigh this morning. She got there about 7 a.m. and she's there in general just telling us what the message of today is.
Our kids are more important than the corporations. Our kids deserve great public schools no matter where they live in North Carolina, really in the United States, but today's the focus in North Carolina, and that we need to make sure that the people that are in the General Assembly are prioritizing our kids and their families and public school workers over corporations.
A lot of teachers told me that today is about more than just pay for them. They say it's about respect, it's about retention, and making sure that students have strong educators in the classroom long term.
All right, so from early morning to right now at this moment, WFMY News 2's Ben Briscoe in Raleigh.
Right now at this moment, teachers are raising their voice saying it is time for a change. You know, they say that North Carolina is actually 46th in the nation for funding for education and teacher pay. They also say that next year, the average teacher pay in North Carolina is actually going down. It's decreasing to $59,000. One of the teachers out here who's concerned about all this is Annie. Annie, your costume automatically caught our eye. What is this about?
This pay scale is bananas. They have proposed that, well, first off, we haven't passed a budget in 3 years, I think. So this is what we're currently being paid with a bachelor's degree. But at 0 years of experience, they're suggesting that we get paid $53,000 a year, which is great. That's way more than what I made when I started 21 years ago. But at 25 years of experience, they're suggesting that we only get paid $58,000, $58,750 to be specific. And that's just ridiculous. What other industry have you ever heard of that 25 years of experience only gets you $5,000 of a pay raise? That's just insane. No one is valuing the veteran teachers. I'm glad that we're trying to get new teachers in, but no one's ever going to stay. And we bring a lot of value as veteran teachers to the schools.
As a veteran teacher, how do you help the new teachers learn to do better?
So I'm a mentor, so every year I have one of our newer teachers that I work with, and we meet all the time. Usually it's somebody who's on my team that we plan with, but this year I've been so lucky. I got to work with my student teacher. She's from UNCC. I love her so much. Shout out to Rose. She has just done such an amazing job, and I had her all the fall. I had her once every week, and then she came in and started in January, and she's just been teaching all along, and I've been in the background helping out, piping in, answering her questions, helping her grow as a teacher, and she just got certified and she's graduating next week, and so it's my first time doing that and I love it. And veteran teachers are doing stuff like that all the time, helping out the new teachers, helping out the young ones, helping out pre-service teachers, and it's just I love doing it, and I feel like we need to be valued more for that.
If a lawmaker is watching this right now, what would you look in that camera and say to them?
I'd say that we need to value the veteran teachers. Look at this. This is insanity. This is not a livable pay scale.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Again, one of hundreds out here today protesting and raising their voice for more money for education.
24 hours.
I'm loving all the different themes and different ways they're trying to catch people's eye and make their message known. Manning, what are you seeing out there?
Without Medicaid, he would have been discharged.
So y'all, I'm here, out here in the Raleigh, and I was, just for clarification, I was there early this morning in Forsyth County with the Forsyth County Education Association on the bus. I literally have been trying to find some of those people that I talked to. They're from Walkertown. There were 4 women. They were EC teachers ranging from 18 years of working there to 4 years of working there. Altogether, they had 40-plus years of education experience in the Forsyth County, Winston-Salem Forsyth County school system. So I wasn't able to find them. I'm still going to do everything I can to make sure that I talk to them. But one of them that I talked to, she had a sign that said respect, but it was like Aretha Franklin. You know, Aretha Franklin's RESPECT, but the EC stand for EC teachers. Now, all 4 were EC teachers, and for one particular woman, she had been given that from a parent. And the parent said, I can't be there today, but please take this sign and go out there and be a representation when I cannot physically be there. And so she has that sign, and we will do everything in my power to find that sign for you all today, because at this juncture, there are thousands of people here. Even if you knew they were in one section, finding them will be like a needle in a haystack, but I will do everything I can to make sure we talk to them, because another one that I talked to was here back in May 1st of 2019, the first time that they did this. And she says that she wishes things had changed even more, because she says we're right back here walking once again here in Raleigh for some of the same exact things. So it's almost like she said it was a deja vu to be in this situation once again, but she's hoping that this is a time they won't have to be doing this again in the future. But again, we are the only state without a budget, and she was imploring lawmakers to start there, get a budget out there, not just for teachers and public employees, but for all of North Carolina. And that was her plea to lawmakers here today. I will do my best to go around finding them and talking with them and seeing what it's like now that they're here at the rally, for some the first time and for some the second time. And we'll be sure to keep you updated once we find more from them. Live here in Raleigh, Manning Franks, WFMY News 2.
So we've seen the get-ups, we've seen some signs. All right, Kevin Kennedy, I'm wondering, are you hearing some chants as well?
They have been chanting for a little bit. They aren't chanting right now. They're focused on the speakers up at the front of the stage. And Tanya, we've been talking about this all day. This really comes down to public education and putting more dollars in the public education pot, if you will. A majority of the people that are out here today are educators or staff members, but there are also parents out here, and there are a number of kids. I'm joined now by Blair Cuneo. Blair came out here. Explain to me, as a parent, why you thought it was important for you to show up here today.
Excellent. Yeah, my family is out here along with other public school families to show that we support our teachers. Hearing that we are 50th out of 50 in funding, that's not our standard. We have excellent higher education. We have great investments that need to be made in the future, and that's why we're out here today.
What would you like to tell legislators when it comes to public education and why this funding is so important?
It's that future investment in our society. You know, strong public schools, big S, a strong public good, and so I encourage legislatures to work with corporations and to see these children and our teachers as an investment in the greater North Carolina future.
You've got 3 kids in public schools here in North Carolina. Obviously, the teachers play a critical role in their development as they go through. How important is it to make sure we have good, qualified teachers that are able to have that job as a substantial pay?
That is one of my biggest fears. We have fantastic teachers. We have fantastic teachers that have been putting out phenomenal students, and once we begin losing that retention of our teachers, that outlook is bleak for me. I think that no matter your status and your privilege, we need to ensure that each child has access to not just a great school, but a great educator. We need to invest in the teachers, in their training, and support them. And the teachers who are needing to make that decision between their family, their livelihood, whether they're going to teach or not, and have to make the hard choices of additional jobs, what money's coming out of their pocket, it's unsatisfactory, and that is not North Carolina.
Thank you, Blair, very much for talking to me. I appreciate your time. You heard from Blair. We've heard from a number of other speakers again earlier today. Really, this just comes back to actually just funding public education and them wanting to get legislators to take that pie, that about $35.6 billion pie that is our state budget, and diverse more of that or spread more of that out to public education. We'll be out here all day. We'll toss it back to you in the studio right now.
All right, thanks so much, Kevin. You know, the rally focusing on budget, on funding, on money. And with that in mind, the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School Board of Education said 16% of their staff had called out early on, leading them to cancel classes. Well, that day off also canceled dozens of field trips, which were already paid for. The district says 35 field trips are affected. It's not clear whether or not these field trips will be refunded or rescheduled. School board member Leah Crowley was not happy about it.
It sickens me to think that children are going to lose their opportunity to take a field trip and get to experience something. I mean, it's one of our priorities that we talk about exposure and how if kids could see different things, then they have an opportunity to see what's out there and how that can change the course of their life. And now we're talking about missing it for a day that the legislature is not even in session.
Well, Crowley was the only one to vote against canceling classes in Winston-Salem Forsyth County. The district will now have to extend the school year. The last day will be May the 27th. There are teachers from several local districts out in Raleigh right now. As you heard earlier, Guilford, Winston-Salem, Forsyth County, Thomasville, all canceling classes. Asheboro City Schools is remote today. This was already a pre-scheduled teacher workday for Rockingham County Schools. All the other districts in our area are operating normally. That includes Davidson, Randolph, Surrey, Stokes, and Wilkes County Schools. Right now we're going to take you right back to Raleigh, to the speakers on stage. And at this point of the program, it's students who are speaking. So let's listen in.
With energy and purpose, spaces where students don't just join, but they feel belonged. I see it in our classrooms where students continuously challenge themselves with rigorous coursework to think deeper, push farther, and imagine bigger things. I see it in the languages we speak, the cultures we cultivate, and in the diversity that doesn't just define us, but strengthens us. Because you see, EMLO's not just a school, it's a living, breathing community. We have one of the strongest advanced placement and international baccalaureate programs available in the state. We house arguably the best varsity science Olympiad team in the state, and we put up, hands down, the greatest Asian Student Association and Black Student Union showcases I've ever seen. We're equipped with unique academic programs like Civilizations and Cultures, or our CNC classes, our Medical Bioscience Academy, IB Diploma Program, and our Academy of Creative Design. And beyond the classroom, our students are deeply involved in civic service through clubs like National Honor Society and our esteemed PTSA, showing that public schools don't just create students, they create meaningful citizens. Now, money is more than just a tool. It's a way to get students and teachers the things they need to build a successful future. But in this case, billionaires use their leverage to sway departments their way and farther away from what our teachers need. To put it into perspective, that's $18 billion in tax breaks, over $1 billion in vouchers pulled out of public schools. And the most outstanding fact is that North Carolina is 50th out of 50 states in public school funding. Exactly. Now, in spite of this, I'd like to give a huge shout out to our PTSA because they stepped it up this year. We raised over $60,000 to support the school, among many things. We invested in the purchase of new courtyard picnic benches. Now, this may not seem significant, but our courtyard is the heart and soul of growth and connection every day, allowing us to breathe. But here's the reality of it. We cannot take any of it for granted. We're seeing constant staff cuts, first losing a secretary and then a counselor, while our students' classes and needs continue to grow. Counselor to student ratios are growing rapidly, from 250 students to 450 students per counselor, and this is becoming way too unsustainable. Across our state, educators are still ranked around 45th in pay, making it harder to recruit and retain the people who make schools like ours special and possible. At the same time, tax money is being redirected away from our prestigious AP programs to private schools through voucher programs. And while our students and teachers work hard to build excellence, we're also struggling to maintain basic infrastructure when issues like mold go unaddressed due to our limited resources. With the passage of North Carolina's House Bill 10, hundreds of millions of dollars, over $600 million in the coming school year, are being directed towards private school vouchers, expanding access regardless of income. And while that may open doors for some, it also raises a difficult question. What happened to the schools that serve the 84% of North Carolina students? What happens to the counselors, teachers, and communities that rely on public education as their foundation? Now, I took a really challenging class this year, and in this class, I learned about the gifted wall. This concept is a mental obstruction that every student will encounter at some point in their academic careers when they take an especially difficult class. But never did I think that my peers' wall would be the inability to take exams based on their financial situation. So when you invest in public schools, you're investing in opportunity. The students who are going to make the world a better place and the teachers that form those students. You invest in diversity, in innovation, and most importantly, in community. You invest in schools like Enloe, where students are not only learning, but they're leading, creating, and making a difference. So today, I'm urging our leaders to prioritize public education, protect our programs, support our staff, fund our schools, because at the end of the day, Enloe and all these other public schools aren't just worth supporting, they're worth fighting for. Thank you.
I'm a little short, Hello, I'm Watson Myers, a senior at Enloe High School as well. Throughout my time in public schools, I have seen the tireless work teachers put into their students. My 9th grade civics teacher, Mr. Foose, has supported me since day one, pushing me to do my best and holding me accountable. I've watched him spend his own money to make sure students have meals, stay late after school, and even show up to games and events when parents could not. And that's just a small percent of all Mr. Foose does. I have sat in overclouded classrooms, as well as overheated classroom, 85-degree weather, third period, where despite the conditions, teachers still gave everything they had to make sure that we are well educated. I have seen educators work long hours, 6 to 12 hours a day, to make sure that all students are cared for and supported, as well as take time from their families and personal situations to ensure that other people's children are safe. Over the years, I've had 9 teachers leave the classroom. Their memories are just my own. I am who I am because of my teachers. This fall, I'll attend a 4-year university, and I would not be there without the constant support of my teachers. They taught me how to work hard, advocate for myself, and keep going even when I wanted to quit. But I worry about the students after me, including my 2 younger siblings, who are also in public education. Teachers will constantly continue to give their all, but without the real support, it would not be enough. As I learned in Mr. Foose's classes, it's the constitutional duty of the North Carolina General Assembly to provide every student with a sound and basic education. That means fully funding our schools. Fully fund our schools. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Sadie Byerly, and I am a current college student studying elementary and special education. I'm here to speak to you today as a proud graduate of our public school system and the daughter of a public school teacher. Public education did not just shape me, it made me who I am today. Growing up, I watched my mom, a special educator, give everything to her students, and I saw the sacrifices that came with it. And now, as a pre-service special educator, just a couple of years away from stepping into my own classroom of my own, I'm preparing to carry that same responsibility. But right now, funding for special education is capped. That means no matter how many students need services and support, there is a limit to the resources schools receive. And we are sending a message to students with disabilities that their needs are negotiable. They are not. Every student deserves the support they need to learn, grow, and thrive. That's why our Kids Over Corporation demands matter. Increasing per student funding helps ensure that all students have access to the resources they need to succeed. As I prepare to begin my student teaching over the next 2 years, I will be doing so unpaid. But that is a story I'm going to save for another day. So today, I stand not just for myself, but for every student who needs more support, every teacher who is doing more with less, and every future educator who is ready to step up. Today, let's show our students that they matter, because public education is not worth just protecting, it is worth fighting for. Thank you.
And kids over corporations, you're hearing that over and over. That is the theme of this rally in Raleigh for today. A little different than what it was back in 2019. So Kevin, what can you tell me from what you've been hearing from those around you?
Yeah, it's nice to hear from those kids, Tanya, when you talk about this. Obviously, this is a lot about the educators today and trying to boost their pay raises, but it's nice to hear from the kids and what they have to say and kind of why this is important to them. I'm joined by a longtime teacher, Kalisha McNair. She works at Greensboro. Why was it important, Kalisha, that you come out here today?
Well, today it was important for us to come out because I am all about public schools, I'm all about our students, and I'm all about us receiving the funding that we need for our schools and our students. And we are here so we'll make sure we'll get those tax breaks so that we don't get the tax breaks for the corporations, to make sure they can get those funds put into our public schools.
We talked earlier today, we heard some speakers talk about how we're not getting those raises for longtime educators, that the jump is just not significant. You've been teaching for 25 years. Is it still tough for you in regards to, paying the bills and stuff like that?
Yes, we're at that step where we don't get that increase, and it is hard, so that's why we're out here, fighting for that increase, because the money is not coming. So no one is out here fighting for us, so that's why you see all the educators out here today, and we're out here asking legislators to please listen to us. We need this money. $13 billion of our tax money was put into private vouchers, and we need that money put back into our public school to help our teachers, to help me, those veteran teachers where that money is just leveled off.
It really seems like it's two things, I guess. It's those public voucher dollars or public dollars that are going to private vouchers or whatever. And then obviously a lot of these tax corporation cuts. That's where the money needs to come from. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yes, that's correct.
What would it mean if you get those dollars in the classroom?
Oh, that'll mean extra money for our student. For pupil student, it'll be more educators. It'll be an increase in pay for us, our ESPs, more counselors, because cafeteria, bus drivers that we all need. It'll just be it'll be a load off of us. We won't have to have those 2 jobs, 3 jobs. One job, one education for us. So it'll be great.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. It was nice meeting you, Kalisha. Obviously, she's been a longtime educator in Greensboro. You heard from her. You heard from a number of kids earlier. I'm going to toss it over to one of my colleagues, Ben Briscoe, that he has somebody else also right now to talk about kind of why this rally is so important to so many people. Ben?
Kevin, there's a big representation from the Triad here, but also all across the state. I want to introduce you to Sarah. She's one of the people who probably traveled the farthest today. A 3.5-hour bus ride this morning from Asheville. Why was it important to make the journey over to Raleigh?
Absolutely. I think it's important for as many educators as possible to show up and to communicate our really grave concerns for the state of education in this great state of North Carolina.
What are your grave concerns?
Funding. We need to be fully funded. The state legislators need to pass a budget, and teachers need raises. We need to order supplies. We need to fully fund school libraries, teachers' aides, support positions. I mean, the list goes on. And in my 22 years teaching, I've seen one cut after another, and it's really adding up. It's a story of 10,000 cuts are starting to bleed us out.
We're from Greensboro in the Triad area. All of us down there have been praying for you guys since Helene. What's it been like for the schools since Helene?
I mean, it's a community level traumatic event, and everyone was impacted in their own unique way. And, life has to go on, but it has been incredibly difficult. And I mean, literally the ground was taken out from under many of our students and our coworkers. Yeah.
How is it trying to tackle that without the money there to be able to fix things?
Right. I mean, it's an ongoing kind of perfect storm, one thing after another, and it feels also like an assault on the impoverished class. And teachers especially are asked to do so much with so little and fill so many different roles, and frankly, it's exhausting.
So you guys all from Asheville had these balloons tied up. I don't know if you can see this one. Yours says, if you don't mind me touching it, union rights now. Why do you want that?
We need collective bargaining rights. If the state legislature isn't going to support schools, then we have to band together.
And right now, that's something that you're not allowed to do in North Carolina under state law.
Correct. And I come from a long family of union leaders, so it's something near and dear to me. We should treat workers, the way that they should be treated. We should have fully funded jobs and safe working conditions.
Thank you so much for your time,
Thank you,
Sarah.
Ben.
Tanya, another story out here. We are hearing countless people on why they made the trip to Raleigh today.
And you think of that extra effort from those teachers from Asheville having to deal with everything that they've dealt with in the last couple of years. All right, Manning, you're in a different part of where the rally is taking place. What are you seeing and hearing from your vantage point?
Well, right now, as I've said before, I've been embedded with the Forsyth County Educators Association since early this morning, and right now they're getting ready to go on stage. They're going to have a section where they're going to be highlighted by the event here today, and so I was going to grab a quick interview with them, but I was going to grab it, or we're going to see it after they come off, fresh right after the stage at this point. But again, I've been talking and running all around the area, just talking with different educators from Guilford and Forsyth, and right now what we are seeing right now is just a unified stance of solidarity, not only with teachers, but all types of educators. As we said, we even had a custodian be up there at the same time. So this is a unified advocacy for not only teacher pay, but for better funding for public schools at this time. This is behind the scenes. If you turn around right over there, Ray Marr, my photographer, this is behind the stage, a little different representation that we had. But there are still people, as you can see, behind the stage, clapping, cheering. It's not just those in front. There are still people all the way back here at this time. So as you can see, it doesn't stretch. It stretches not just from out there front, but also behind here, right next to the federal building behind me, or the state building, legislative building behind me at this time. So we will be sure to keep you updated once they come down from the stage. Forsyth County Educators Association, they're coming up next in a little bit, so we'll be able to show you that once they have come down from the stage. But in the meantime, stay with us here. We'll be live again at the noon just to give you all a first eyewitness account of the events taking place here today in Raleigh. Back to y'all.
All right, thanks so much, Manning. So this entire rally is all about teacher pay. Lawmakers have other priorities to pay for as well. As you heard a little earlier, the lawmakers were questioning the time of this rally.
I think everybody anticipates the budget won't be voted out before the middle of June. They could easily do that. They could also come during the week. They could come on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. But instead, they've chosen a day that wraps into a 3-day weekend. So given all the circumstances, plus, parents have to find childcare.
And so I applaud the teachers for organizing, putting this together, and hopefully they'll have a good crowd and have a good turnout. Unfortunately, on Friday, we're not here on Friday, so I wished it was a better day. There will be some staff members here, and there may be a few people here from the speaker's office that they might be able to, and they can leave things in our office because our staff members will be here.
As you can imagine, this rally means a little more to teachers in certain districts, like you heard from the Asheville teacher. But in our area in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County schools, educators there are recovering from that $46 million budget deficit from last year. That led to hundreds of layoffs in several departments, including that exceptional children's program that we've heard talked about from those who are there in Raleigh today. We talked to one teacher in that program last week. He says higher costs, better pay, benefits, they're a necessity in this current economic climate.
So if we don't have a budget, we can't get resources for our kids, and our employees don't keep up with compensation. We're in inflation right now. Gas is $4 a gallon. And as of January, our healthcare premiums have risen. So we're actually taking a pay cut. Many of us are taking a pay cut in the new year.
At some Guilford County schools, educators rallied in front of a recent Board of Education meeting to fight what they're fighting for today. Ultimately, the request included money for teachers, bus drivers, and custodians. The district also wants to replace devices purchased during the pandemic for remote learning. All right, once again, we are heading out to Raleigh. Ben Briscoe now joining us again as we're wrapping up our coverage.
There are so many educators out here. It's hard to talk to everyone, but they've each got their own story about what brought them out, like Alicia. Why are you here today?
I'm here today to speak out against the private vouchers that are being used. You know, they're subsidizing 1% of our students, and you know, the people who are using those vouchers, they're not switching over from public schools, they're people who are already in private schools. And so I'm here to bring awareness that, you know, we're putting all this money in here when we could be making our public schools even greater.
What do you teach? How are you involved in education?
I'm a first grade teacher in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I have the privilege of working with 21 amazing 6- and 7-year-olds who I love dearly, and they're why I'm here today.
21, that is a bigger class size than we've had in the past.
Yeah.
What's it like trying to manage that many first graders?
Yeah, it's definitely like herding cats sometimes, but overall, you know, I think that is something that another reason why a lot of us are here is because we don't have IAs. You know, we're in there in the rooms, and so a lot of times it's texting your teammate and saying, hey, I need to use the bathroom, can you come watch my class? And then you have a teacher trying to watch over 2 classes to make sure you can use the bathroom. And unfortunately, that's just the reality of the situation, and you know, we wish we had more help, but we do what we can, and that's why we're here.
Thanks for taking care of our kids every day. We appreciate it. The stories just keep continuing out here. We're going to keep talking with them and listening to the speech out here.
And we are going to take you back to the speakers on stage to listen in as we wrap up this WFMY Plus special.
If we don't stand together, we will fall for anything. I'm pretty sure y'all done heard that saying, stand for something to fall for anything, right? All right. If we stand together in numbers, we can take over this whole city and shut everything down. Not even just the whole city. We can take over the whole South and shut it down, all right? So, show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. I said, show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. There y'all go.
Yes, Nishan, thank you. We know as public school educators that we are not in this fight alone. We know that educators...
As the rally continues, we're showing it to you from the air so that you can really get an idea of just how big this is, how many educators are there today. You see so many of them in red. This year's theme has been kids over corporations, and you see people there with their red shirts on. You see them there with signs and things of that nature. There's been a whole host of speakers today, from educators to parents to students as well. We saw some of those over the last 45 minutes to an hour. I believe that the Forsyth County Association of Educators is going to take the stage in a little while as well, one more time before they wrap things up here in Raleigh. And then that's when the march is going to happen. That march starts at 12 o'clock. And then you might think to yourself, okay, this is what this whole day is about, all these people here. Well, this is the beginning of what it's about. After they meet here for this rally and they go on that march, they're going to split up into smaller groups so that they can have regional meetings, so they can talk about what their area is experiencing, so that they can all get on the same page of what their region is doing and then what the state is doing, and how they can all help one another get what they believe needs to happen here at the state. So big things from them is ending corporate tax breaks and redirecting that money to public schools and healthcare, and also eliminating private school vouchers. So that is what you have heard over over and over with this rally in the Raleigh area, the kids over corporations. So many school districts having to close today because the teachers, the educators, the staff wanted to be here in person to be part of this. And again, you're seeing a live look right now, giving you a bird's eye view of what is happening in Raleigh. We're going to continue our coverage coming up on WFMY News 2 at noon. We hope to see you there.